Today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, and we are getting into a really fascinating deep dive today.
Yeah, it's a striking situation to look at. A bit messy, to be honest.
Literally messy.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at the headlines right now, all eyes are on the Persian Gulf.
Right. Tensions are basically at a boiling point.
Exactly. And the United States has positioned its absolute crown jewel right there at the tip of the spear. We're talking about the USS Gerald Ford.
The single most expensive, technologically advanced asset in the entire naval arsenal.
$13 billion of floating American power. On paper, it's just this ultimate symbol of dominance. But the reality on board, it's a completely different story.
It really is. The contrast is almost hard to believe.
Right, because our mission today is to look at what happens when massive geopolitical ambition just completely crashes into human and mechanical limits.
Which is exactly what the sources we're looking at today highlight.
Yeah, we've got a report detailing the ship's current location, this crazy diverted mission path it's been on. And this is the crazy part, leaked details about the crew's living conditions.
It's not the kind of thing the Navy usually advertises.
Not at all. We are not talking about missiles or fighter jets today. We are looking at a crew stuck at sea for 8 months and a ship where the toilets are constantly overflowing.
A $13 billion supercarrier with a severe plumbing crisis.
It's wild. So we're going to unpack this in 3 layers for you. First, the map, because this zigzagging geopolitical mission is wild. Second, the actual sewage crisis. And third, the real human toll on the 5,000 crew members dealing with this.
And we really have to start with that map.
Yeah.
Because to understand why the toilets are breaking down, and frankly, why the crew is breaking down, you have to look at the timeline of where they've been.
Right. Let's trace this odyssey. Because a standard deployment for a carrier strike group is usually pretty predictable, right?
Very predictable. Predictability is basically the backbone of naval logistics. You leave port, you do a 6-month tour, and you come home.
So the Ford departed Norfolk, Virginia in June of 2025.
Exactly. And that was supposed to be a totally standard 6-month deployment to Europe.
Show the flag, run some exercises with NATO allies.
Right. And then be back in the States for the holidays, the family's expected, the maintenance crews plan for it. But 2025 didn't exactly stick to the script.
No, it did not. Almost immediately, there was this massive diversion.
The ship was redirected to the Caribbean, specifically down off the coast of Venezuela.
And the source material gives us the context for that. This wasn't just sailing around. They were down there to support the seizure of oil tankers.
Yeah, it was part of this broader operational push to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
Which means high-tempo operations, launching aircraft, monitoring airspace. You don't just idle in those situations.
You're running the ship hard. The machinery gets worn down, the crew gets exhausted. Usually after a spike like that, you get a reset.
But they didn't get one.
No reset at all. Because as we moved into early 2026, the deployment was extended again. The ship had to cross all the way back over the Atlantic.
Just visualize that. You go from Virginia to Europe, divert down to South America, cross back over the Atlantic, traverse the Mediterranean.
And they just docked in Crete, in Greece, on February 23rd.
Which was just 2 days ago.
Right. And from there, they are steaming straight toward Iran.
It's a massive amount of sea miles. But you have to ask, why this ship? The Navy has other carriers. Why keep the Ford out there bouncing across the globe?
Well, the analysts cited in our sources break this down to a very specific strategy from the Trump administration. It's a calculated decision based on 4 main pillars.
Okay, let's walk through those pillars, because extending a deployment like this is a huge deal. What's the strategic analysis say?
So the first pillar is the most immediate one, subduing the Iranian regime and curbing its nuclear program. You need a massive, credible threat right on their doorstep to force the issue.
Classic gunboat diplomacy. What's the second?
The second is domestic. A supercarrier is a very potent political symbol.
Oh, absolutely.
Keeping the biggest, newest, most advanced ship front and center plays really well to the domestic image of projecting American strength.
A visual representation of power. Makes sense.
The third pillar involves consolidating Israel's position in the Middle East, providing that security umbrella.
Right. Having the Ford there changes the calculus for everyone in the region. And the fourth?
The fourth is arguably the most critical for the global economy. It's about disrupting Chinese oil supplies.
The China connection. Because so much of their energy flows right through the Strait of Hormuz.
Exactly. By parking the Ford right there, the U.S. effectively holds leverage over China's energy security. You squeeze Iran, but you also signal to China that you control the tap.
So the ship is doing a lot of heavy lifting diplomatically. But there's a serious time crunch right now, isn't there?
There is. President Trump has set a strict 10-day deadline for an agreement with Iran, or there's the possibility of an attack.
10 days. The stakes are incredibly high, the clock is ticking, and the pressure is entirely on this one ship and its crew to be ready.
Which brings us to the really jarring reality of what's happening inside that ship as it races toward this deadline.
Right. Let's pivot to this plumbing crisis, because it sounds like a bad joke. You have this marvel of modern engineering, and it can't handle its own bathrooms.
It's the ultimate clash of high-tech systems and very basic human needs.
For context, we're talking about 5,000 crew members on board.
5,000 people sharing roughly 650 toilets.
Which is about one toilet for every 7 or 8 people. That sounds manageable until things start breaking.
And they are breaking. The reports detail a full-blown sewage crisis. Toilets clogging, breaking, and just outright overflowing into the ship.
How does that even happen on a brand new ship? Isn't ship plumbing usually just gravity and holding tanks?
Not on the Ford. To save weight and to conserve water, which is a premium resource at sea, they installed a vacuum pump system.
Like on an airplane.
Exactly like on a commercial airplane or a modern cruise ship. You press the button, a valve opens, and the vacuum sucks everything out.
Which is fine for a few hours on a flight.
Right, but you've got 5,000 people using this complex network of narrow pipes 247. And the problem with the vacuum system is that it's deeply interconnected.
So if one part fails,
it takes down the whole section. If a pipe gets clogged or the vacuum seal fails, entire sections of the ship lose their toilets for hours at a time.
the leak details say that the crew members are having to spend their time troubleshooting these leaks.
Yes. Highly trained sailors, people who should be focusing on this critical mission.
With a 10-day deadline looming.
Exactly. Instead of resting or prepping gear, they are trying to fix overflowing toilets. It's a massive distraction and a huge drain on their energy.
I mean, we don't need to get too graphic, but the smell and the unsanitary conditions,
Yeah.
that has to be brutal.
And this isn't a surprise to the Navy, by the way. Our sources point out that these plumbing problems were known as far back as 2020.
Before the ship was even fully finished.
Yes. They knew the vacuum system was finicky. But the official line remains very different from what's leaking out.
Yeah, there's a quote here. A naval official told the Washington Post that the situation is, quote, under control and doesn't affect the mission. I have to be honest, I'm highly skeptical of that. You can't have raw sewage issues and tell me it doesn't affect the mission. It affects the humans running the mission.
It completely ignores the human element, which is the third layer we need to look at, the human toll.
The crew has been at sea for 8 straight months now.
8 months. And if they stay out for 11 months, which is looking likely given this 10-day standoff, they will break the Navy's record for continuous deployment.
Indefinite deployment. That word indefinite is heavy.
It's incredibly heavy. There was actually a letter from the ship's commander, Captain David Scarosi, that got leaked.
And captains usually keep a very brave face for the public.
Always. But in this letter, he admitted he was, quote, taken by surprise by these constant extensions. And he explicitly acknowledged the damage this is doing to his crew. Using the word damage is a huge red flag from a commanding officer.
It's not just abstract morale dropping. It's real, tangible losses for these people. The sources give some really heartbreaking examples of what they're missing back home.
Right, things like canceled trips to Disney World or busch gardens.
Which might sound small to some, but to a kid waiting for their parent to come home.
It's everything. It's broken promises, they're missing weddings, spring break trips, huge life milestones.
There's one specific story highlighted in the report that really just gut-punched me. The story of Jamie Prosser's son.
Yeah, he's a crew member currently on the Ford.
While he's been stuck on this endless deployment, he missed his great-grandfather's death. He wasn't there for his sister going through a divorce.
He has a brother dealing with serious health problems that he can't be there to support.
And on top of all the emotional stuff, his physical home back in the States is in desperate need of repairs while he's away.
Just imagine the mental burden. You're floating off the coast of Iran, dealing with broken toilets, waiting for a potential war to kick off in 10 days, and you know your family needs you at home and your house is falling apart.
It's an impossible situation. But, you know, our source material does point out the counter perspectives.
The traditional military mindset.
Right. Some soldiers and commentators view this as simply part of the job. They signed up to deploy, they signed up to serve.
And that's true, they did. But there's a massive difference between a tough deployment and an indefinite one.
Exactly.
The combination of endless extensions, moving goalposts, and living with overflowing toilets, it creates a unique breaking point. It degrades dignity.
You can be tough as nails, but eventually the logistics wear you down.
Humans are not machines, and even the machines are breaking on this ship.
So to summarize where we are right now, we have a ship designed to project global dominance, to be the ultimate threat.
The pinnacle of modern military tech.
But internally, it is struggling with its own basic infrastructure. The morale is bleeding out, and they are racing toward a potential conflict zone with Iran with a 10-day deadline on the table.
It's a high-wire act.
For you listening, the learner who loves digging into the why of these global events, this is such a stark lesson in logistics.
It's the human element of grand strategy. We talk about grand strategy like it's a chess game.
Right, just moving pieces on a board.
But those pieces are full of exhausted people dealing with failing sanitation. High-tech equipment is completely useless without functioning basics and a rested team to operate it.
It really leaves you with a profound question as we watch this 10-day countdown unfold.
It does.
If the USS Gerald Ford is pushing for a deployment record,
Yeah.
right, trying to hold the line on global security while literally battling its own sewage system, you have to wonder.
Wonder what?
Is the limiting factor of modern warfare no longer the enemy's weapons? Is it actually our own maintenance and endurance?
That is the real vulnerability. Are our own systems going to defeat us before the adversary even makes a move?
It's a heavy thought to leave you with, but an important one. Keep your eyes on that 10-day deadline. We'll be watching it right alongside you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Catch you next time.